Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unity Spiritual Center of New Orleans. We will start the service with the Unity Statement of Being and the 5 Unity Principles. These are found in the notes on the first page. There is but one presence and one power in this church and in our lives and in the universe. God, good, the omnipotent. Our 5 Unity Principles. Number 1, God is absolute good everywhere present. Number 2, God lives in us, therefore we are inherently good. Number 3, we are co-creators with God and create our experiences through our thoughts. Number 4, prayer is creative thinking that heightens our connection with God mind. And number 5, to simply know these principles, we must live the truth we know. Will everyone please stand for the Lord's Prayer?
Close your physical eyes and relax. Relax. This is your time for prayer and meditation so that you can enter into oneness with the divine right now, today. So get into a comfortable position and allow your cares to slip away. Picture yourself leaving your worry, stress, fears, and insecurities at the door of this spiritual center. Relax. It is your time to focus on your oneness with all life, that omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence that is there waiting for your awareness. This peace that passeth all understanding is there waiting for you to let it enfold you. Relax. Take a deep breath. Breathe in peace, love, and comfort. Breathe out stress, negativity, and insecurity. These are the times to practice letting go and letting God. Let go of fear, doubt, prejudice that separate the human family, so that the healing powers of peace and love can be reestablished in your life. This separation from your human family and spirit, this fourth dimension consciousness, is your true home. And it is always there waiting for you to return. This separation today is no longer there. You go to your true home today. Just relax into the awareness of it and its healing and invigorating powers. During our time of prayer and meditation, we open ourselves entirely to this spiritual experience, your true home. Our experience this day is one of divinely directed change, the opportunity to change our point of view, change our experiences, change what we feel about ourselves and others, change our consciousness through the help of divine presence. We open to that presence now. Feel yourself opening to that presence. Change comes to all of us when we let go and let God. Growth brings change, but change need not frighten us. Change can be whatever we make it, a blessing or a challenge. But it is always a blessing through the power of Spirit. We let go. We fast from what does not serve us. At this time of Lent, we pay special attention to fasting from all that keeps us from evolving into our highest, best selves. We let go of fear, stress, anger, envy, and hatred. We feast on what does serve us: love, compassion, peace, understanding, all that is good and pure, the nutrients of our body, mind, and soul. Is some change in your life shaking the foundation of your world as you have known it? Are the circumstances of your life turning in a different direction, making you unsure of what lies ahead? Listen to the words of the divine presence, which were put into the mind of the prophet Isaiah. Thus saith the Lord, remember not the former things, or consider the things of old. Behold, I am doing something new. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way for you in the wilderness and rivers, and in the desert. Yes, Spirit will be with you through any change. Sometimes we expend great energy in resisting change simply because we feel unaccustomed to it, and we feel accustomed to the familiar patterns that are already established in our lives. Patterns and habits that we have come to accept, but which cause us unnecessary suffering. It is during these times that a change in patterns, whether small or major, can seem to throw us off balance and cause us to feel confused or upset or out of kilter. When such events occur, The best course we can take is to center ourselves in the divine presence. Affirm our oneness with that presence. Ask to see things differently, from a different viewpoint, through different lenses, with Christ's vision. Right now, ask for understanding so that you can grow from this or any situation, peacefully moving through it and growing because of it, using it as grist for the mill. As we center ourselves in God today, right now, let us realize that change is part of the divine order. Dear God, we are so grateful for life as it is unfolding in our experiences. We are grateful for the courage, strength, vision, and stability of mind to know that all things are actually working together for our highest good, even in the midst of change, no matter what it might seem like. As we return to full awareness this morning, we open ourselves as never before, allowing our fears to become still and allowing our insecurities and anxieties to quiet themselves. We commit today to letting go and letting God guide us. We shift our attention away from temporary material concerns and conditions and focus on the lasting reality that permeates all things. This morning, you have now recalibrated your soul. You are now ready for the spiritual experiences in your life. This fasting from all that is not for your highest good and feasting on the eternal values. And for this, we are so grateful, dear God. And so it is. Amen.
let's give the choir a round of applause, please. Our next guest speaker needs no introduction after having served our community faithfully for over 10 years. Please put your hands together once again for Mary Beth Ellis.
Good morning. Good morning. You all doing okay?
Yes.
Great. How are you doing keeping a true Lent? Okay. Did everyone keep a true Lent? See what sheet that Wiki handed out last week? Did everyone get one?
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. It's the same one that has been passed out in this church since it started, some over 70 years ago. And at the top, if you have it with you, or if you recall, it says, and I'm reading it, Lent is a season of spiritual growth, a time of self-discipline and prayer. Take it seriously. Give your soul a rest by fasting from worry, weakness, bad temper, criticism, negative thoughts, emotions, and actions, and feast on the fruits of the Spirit: love, life, wisdom, power, peace, and joy. Isn't that wonderful? So if you didn't get a sheet, please get one today. And that's what I'd like to talk about today. How you can actually use Lent to grow spiritually so that you too can be more peaceful and more joyful and healthy and avoid unnecessary suffering. You know, you often hear the expression, things happen, but suffering is optional, and it's so true. I encourage you to use this Lenten season as a time to truly recalibrate yourself, as we talked about in the meditation today. Recalibrate yourself spiritually. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore said, keeping a true Lent means using the tool of fasting to help us remember our spiritual path. The idea is that if we fast from something, maybe sugar or alcohol or caffeine or gossip or negativity, whatever you choose. We're certainly not strict around here at Unity about any of that, but whatever it is you choose to fast from, it's not the thing itself that's important. It serves as a wake-up call every time you do without that, whatever it is. Every time you don't indulge, it is a wake-up call to you. It kind of, oh, I can't have that. Somebody offers you a cookie, and you go like that, and you go, oh, it's Lent. It's a wake-up call. That's the purpose of it all. It lets you know, it reminds you that you are on the spiritual path. It reminds you all day long. Not indulging in that chocolate or judging someone is a wake-up call every time the temptation comes your way for 6 weeks during Lent. It serves kind of as a spiritual alarm clock, if you will, which reminds you at this low ebb and spiritual, in history, I should say, the sort of a low ebb for spiritual paths at this time of history. And it reminds you at those times you don't indulge that you have chosen to stay on the high ebb. These cultural highs and lows on the spiritual path, and we all know from studying history and reading the Bible, they come and go. They're low, they're high, they're low, but we don't need to be victims of this low tide, which caused people so much suffering. Jesus the Christ walked on water, and metaphysically what this means is that we can too, which is the purpose of the story, really, that we can rise above anything when we abide steadily and surely by these old eternal truths. We don't have to be victims of this temporary low ebb. I'm sure you all know that we're kind of in a low ebb right now. Giving up something for Lent is a great tool, you all, to remind yourself to ride those high waves and surf through life more easily and not fall victim to this temporary low ebb. Whether you choose to abstain from something physical, which could help your health, sure, or if you choose to fast from something psychological like negativity, which can improve your emotional health, each time you don't indulge, it is a tool. It's a wake-up call, an alarm to help you remember, oh yes, I'm on the spiritual path. It reminds you all day long. I cannot tell you how important it is and how much that helps if we just do it. The primary goal of any ritual is to use the outer world as a tool to engage your inner consciousness. Use the outer world. We're in the material world. Let's use it. And it is a tool to help remind you of your inner work. It's a wake-up call like your alarm clock, but it's going off all day long. And after 6 weeks of Lent, you are recalibrated. It's a psychological proven tool to remind you that you're not unconsciously following your conditioned habits, which are usually reflections of that herd mentality out there that I always talk about. The worldly conditioning, which causes unnecessary suffering very often. This low ebb in spiritual values, temporary as it is in the grand scheme of things, affects herd mentality out there. And that herd mentality affects us. TV, papers, social media, everything. It hits us unless we wake up and work on staying free. Staying free. It's a proven fact that following the herd sometimes seems like the path of least resistance, because that seems like what's happening out there. But it's often just like blindly following a herd of sheep. Feels perfectly comfortable till you realize they're going off the cliff, right? And then it's too late. Examples of herd mentality today are accepting as normal things like stress, fear, prejudice, inferiority, being judgmental. Another example of herd mentality is living as if materialism and worldly pursuits are the most important aspects of life, and thinking that they will make us happy. All these examples of today's herd mentality cause us unnecessary suffering. Yes, these things are going on out there, but we don't need to suffer because of them. It's hard not to be affected by the prevailing attitude of the time. Of course, this consumer, worldly society that thinks that might makes right, for example. We need to find ways, we desperately need to find ways to build up our spiritual muscles. And so that we're strong enough to fight what's going on out there sometimes. Sometimes it gets to be pretty strong. We go to the gym to build up our physical muscles, don't we? Or you have your little things at home that you do. So why not keep a true Lent and build up your spiritual muscles, right? They need your help by reminding yourself all day long when you don't indulge in whatever, that you are firmly on your spiritual path, not the one the herd follows, often blindly over that cliff. And in terms of what Fillmore said about feasting during this time of Lent, it can be as easy as adding an E to fasting, right? Feasting. It's basically raising your consciousness to a spiritual level, which reduces stress, fear, and discomfort. I'd like to share with you an alphabet of things that you can feast on this Lent, which can help you get back to your higher levels of consciousness, the spiritual path, which attracts to you love, peace, fulfillment. I change my feast list every year, but this is my alphabet soup of things that we can feast on this Lent, and I encourage you to make your own alphabet list. A, accept yourself. You are a beautiful, unique being. B, be nice to yourself and others. C, compassion. Have compassion for yourself and others. Don't beat yourself up. D, don't worry so much. E, enjoy every minute of your life. Remember that story of the monk that was being chased by a wild tiger to the cliff? He jumps off the cliff rather than being eaten by the tiger, and on the way down he sees that big luscious red strawberry on the side, and he gets it, and he enjoys it all the way down. Every minute. I know it feels like we're going off that cliff sometimes. F, faith and forgiveness. G, growth in spiritual matters. Read, come to class, come to unity. H, help yourself and others when needed. I, include, never exclude in your heart. J, join instead of sitting on the sidelines of life. K, kneel humbly in prayer. L, love. Love yourself and your neighbor as yourself. M, move out of your mind and into your heart. N, note the good in yourself and others. O, overlook the temporary imperfections in yourself and others. We're all getting there. P, pray without ceasing. Q, quiet your negativity. R, right understanding, right aim, right action, right speech, as the Buddhist Eightfold Path says. S, surprise others with small gifts of delight, like a smile. T, team up with others on your spiritual path. Form a sangha, others with whom you can share. U, understanding. Ask God for greater understanding and for seeing the world differently, being able to see with Christ's vision. And V, vision. See the world with Christ's vision. W, warm the hearts of those near you with random little acts of kindness. X, expect only good. Y, yield when someone else has a better idea. Z, zap negativity. The one I want to emphasize today is faith. And we all need a lot of faith these days, right? There's a lot coming at us that's not in that category. In Matthew 21:22, it says, and whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. 2 Corinthians says, for we walk by faith, not by sight. I feel like we all need to especially work on our faith because of today's world. It's constantly inputting data that seems to erode our faith. That's what living in a spiritual low ebb means. We need to be aware that we're in a low ebb and remind ourselves constantly to work on our faith in the spiritual path. History goes in waves. 1,000 years of the Middle Ages were a time of great faith. 1,000 years, high crest, great cathedrals were built, and the major works of art, music, and literature reflected spiritual values. God was the very center of the universe. In fact, it's sort of like when I show my students the Middle Ages, I put a big circle, Middle Ages, everything that was going on. And then what's in the middle of the circle? What directs everything? God. And that is also the symbol for God in Sanskrit, the dot and the circle, the original symbol for God. The Renaissance and the Enlightenment began a time of less faith. The Bible and history tell us that these times have always run in cycles. I reread the Bible last year, and I noticed over and over again these cycles. This low ebb we're in now is just a little blip. It will come and go. But we need to be aware of these outside influences. All we need to do is just watch the news or talk with our neighbors to know that we're in that down cycle right now. But those outside influences are what I always mean when I talk about herd mentality or collective psychosis. You've heard me say that many times. Our individual psychology is definitely influenced by this herd mentality. That's just how minds work. My Dobermans copy each other all the time, for better or for worse. But as humans, it is our responsibility to be aware of these influences and to protect ourselves from their debilitating consequences so that we don't follow the herd off the cliff. Yes, let's call a spade a spade. We are living in a time of less faith. This is why it is doubly important for us to avail ourselves of opportunities like Lent to recalibrate from these outer influences. Why? So that we don't suffer from these age-old effects of lack of faith. This isn't a new phenomenon. It goes, of course, in these historical cycles, but we need to be victims of it. There were always people who, in those low ebb times, who were not victims of it. They had to work a little harder. I happen to think that this time of little faith is going to change to a time of great faith. Maybe the greatest that we have ever known, when some of the old things that have to die off. And I think it's right around the corner. But in the meantime, hang on. The Bible's full of references of these historical times of little faith and much faith. Time of little faith, though, always resulted in catastrophe. That's what I noticed over and over as I was reading it. Always, they lost their faith. They sort of got into materialism and worldly values, and then they lost everything. The chosen people were conquered and enslaved over and over during these times of little faith. In times of more faith and commitment to the eternal values, they prospered. They built remarkable civilizations. Now, metaphysically, all these stories are about us. It's about you and me. Every story in the Bible is about you and me. Every character, every place in the Bible reflects a part of our individual psyches. We are these people in these places. We, like the chosen ones, they call them in the Bible, go through these times of little faith and great faith. We do individually also during our lives. These stories have been passed down to remind us of the consequences of succumbing to worldly false values at these times of little faith. For example, the chosen ones were enslaved by the Egyptians and Babylonians, etc., at times of little faith. When they regained their faith, they reached the promised land. All these stories are talking about us and our voyage, personally and with society, to a better, richer, and more fulfilling life. Our promised land of joy and happiness and fulfillment on earth. At Unity, we don't believe in some anthropomorphic human God up there controlling us in the world like some puppeteer. Oh, you're good, I'm going to kill somebody off that you're having a fuss with. No, that's not the way it goes. And yet, we do believe that there is this unifying, omniscient force of the universe that we can plug into and get guidance if we will just maintain our faith. It's like plugging into the internet. We Google a question and voila, the data resources provide an answer for us, which can guide us. That's kind of how it works when we plug into this omniscience, omnipresence, and omnipotence of this overall force of the universe, spirit, some people call it, that fourth dimension fourth dimension of reality that Charles Fillmore talked about. We plug into it and we can be guided to our highest good. It is faith in this proven age-old wisdom that I'm referring to. If you plug into this universal omniscience regularly, all day, pray ceaselessly, maybe every hour, remind yourself, I am committed, physically, mentally, spiritually. Your life will change dramatically. I promise, I guarantee. Maybe that plugging in is making the sign of the cross. Maybe, I have to admit, I do that all the time. I'm Reformed Episcopalian, but I can't help it. It just plugs me in sometimes. Maybe it's saying every hour, dear God, I commit to you, recommit to you, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Maybe it's when you resist that ice cream or gossip that you gave up for Lent. Every time you refrain from saying that negative thing or eating that chocolate, it can wake you up to your commitment to your spiritual path. It catapults you into what Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore called this fourth dimension. Maybe you have a little faith in what is not seen with your eyes or accepted by the herd out there. But just imagine if it were the year 1850 right now. Just imagine for a minute. It's 1850. We're sitting right here. You wouldn't have faith in electricity or the internet, would you? No. Yet all the principles of electricity and the internet did exist in 1850. They just hadn't been discovered yet. Well, faith is something unseen, and something unseen is just the same thing. But like electricity, if you plug into it, the results are seen. If you don't plug into it, your light bulb maybe doesn't light up in the same way. Your life lights up with peace, love, and joy when you plug into that fourth dimension or you stay on a spiritual path. There are dozens of ways to say it. So, this is the time of year when we can reboot ourselves spiritually and plug into that fourth dimension, as Fillmore called it, the spiritual dimension that is not seen. It's the way that we can defy the herd mentality out there during this temporary low ebb historically. The Lenten tool of fasting is an effective way to wake ourselves up during the day so that we aren't just stimulus response machines. Stimulus response machines. That's all we are when we're following blindly what's going on out there. Reacting to our and everybody else's old conditioning and habits. The mentality du jour, if you will. We can enjoy a higher state of consciousness, which is referred to as the kingdom of heaven on earth. It's freedom from our ordinary state that creates suffering. Freedom. Freedom. It's Black History Month. The slaves gained their freedom from the plantations. We too now must fight for our freedom today. Freedom from temporary enslavement to lower states, lower values, this low ebb, which causes us so much suffering. If we resonate with these higher states more and more often over the next weeks of Lent, we can recalibrate ourselves. We don't have to acquiesce to this temporary low ebb in spiritual values. When we plug into this omniscience that is something like the spiritual internet, this God force, we are guided to our highest good throughout the days. Not that God that rearranges physical life and lightning comes down on our enemies and the other side loses the war, whatever, but by guiding us and freeing us from what causes our suffering. We birth a greater reality. We birth a greater reality. So, you can think of Lent as a training season, like for football, right? Many people might think that for the football team to spend an hour a day back there lifting weights is just a waste of time instead of practicing out there on the field. But the players who do it know that it is critical to develop their bodies before getting out there on the field. It allows them to effectively execute the football plays. By the same token, we may think that to give up things like sugar, alcohol, or negative thinking isn't helpful. But if you do it and let your denial of these things wake you up to your spiritual path all day long, you soon realize that they are very effective practices toward developing your spiritual muscles and effectively playing the game of life. It helps you remember your spiritual goals in a visceral way, a truly visceral way. You use the outer world to build your inner world. That's what ritual is. You use the outer world to help you recalibrate your inner world. Primarily, Lent is a time to prepare us mentally, spiritually, and physically for a whole new beginning, our resurrection at Easter, from our old states of worldly consciousness to our resurrection to a level of peace, joy, and love. And thus is the tool of the Lenten vows. They help chisel away at our earthbound selves that are so very prone to following the latest trend, whatever it is, which is temporarily now a downward spiritual trend. Lenten vows make an impression on our psyches. They are a reminder that we march to a different drum than just the material worldly pursuits and values out there. They help us be in the world, but not of it. We thus live above the chaos and suffering like Jesus walking on water. We commit to a higher level of reality. Yes, this Lenten tool has known success for 2,000 years among millions of people. So don't cheat yourself. Please don't cheat yourself. Use it. Tools make jobs easier, right? That's what tools are for. And this is a proven one. I'd like to close with a quote from Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore. He was the antithesis of someone who believed in needless spiritual rituals or any kind of dogma. But he said, and I quote, "Unity students everywhere are invited yearly to participate in our Lenten program. Fasting means abstaining from. The 40-day fast is an all-round denial of sense demands. We abstain from error thinking, and we meditate on spiritual truth until we incorporate it into our consciousness." End of quote. So remember, when someone offers you that chocolate, that beer, or gossip opportunity that you gave up, and you have the urge to partake in it, but don't let it wake you up. It plugs you again into that higher dimension. You get off the merry-go-round of habitual, purely material existence and values, and you once again plug in to a higher spiritual state. So keep on keeping on with your Lenten pursuits, using the season to raise your consciousness toward a more enlightened way of living, getting you back on your spiritual track. And remember, it is never too late to start a true Lent. You can start it right now. Thank you so much.
Reverend Ellis, thank you for the new message. And now for our tithes and offerings. Divine love, announcements. Electronic giving is available at the front desk in the lobby. Copies of today's service are available on CD at the front desk. Prayer chaplains are available for one-on-one confidential prayer. You can find us on YouTube and Facebook. Next Sunday, March 3rd, Reverend Fleming will be delivering the Sunday message. Is everyone signed up for the newsletter? If not, please see a member of our welcoming team, and they will hand you a card to fill out for your email information. Starting March 5th, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings will be held on Tuesday evenings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. in the family room. Assistance is needed for both setting up and cleanup of our Palm Sunday Tea Time Luncheon. If you would like to assist, please see Christian Turner for more details. Christian, will you please stand so everyone knows who you are? Thank you. Do we have any new visitors with us today? If you'd like to, will you please stand, introduce yourself, and tell us how you found your way to Unity?
Well, my name is Charles Fillmore. I used to attend Unity before Hurricane Katrina.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
I used to attend at the time when Dr. Ruth Murphy was minister. Yeah. And when she passed through transition, and her daughter was the minister, then I was attending then. So I'm out in Natchez, Mississippi right now since Katrina. And I came to visit some family members. I always said when I come, I was going to try to plan to come to Unity, just to come and visit.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing.
And hopefully I can move back to New York as well. I'm trying to get my mind made up on it.
Welcome back.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Antara Hassan. I currently serve as a platform speaker and on the welcoming team. So if anyone is interested in sacred service opportunities, please see me after the service. And now our prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is and always will. The Lord watches between me and thee while we are absent one from the other, and helps us to know that we are all one in spirit through our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Now let's form our circle and sing out the song.